Imagine a city on the brink. Makkah, 615 CE. The powerful Quraysh tribe, unable to silence the growing tide of Islam, turns to a new strategy. They're out to starve and isolate an entire clan into submission, but they don't know that their plans will soon be eaten away, quite literally, by forces they can't comprehend. In the 7th year of his mission, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and his followers faced one of the most intense periods of persecution yet. The Quraysh, unable to halt the spread of Islam through their usual tactics of harassment and violence, decided to escalate their efforts to an unprecedented level. They forged a comprehensive social and economic boycott against the Prophet's clan, Banu Hashim, and their allies, Banu Muttalib. This wasn't just an ordinary boycott. It was a meticulously crafted pact, designed to isolate and cripple the Muslim community. The terms were harsh and unforgiving. No one in Makkah was allowed to trade with, marry into, or even speak to anyone from Banu Hashim or Banu Muttalib. This pact, inscribed and hung inside the Kaaba, considered the holiest site, was intended to force these clans into surrendering the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, to the Quraysh for execution. But why did the Quraysh take such a drastic step? 4 pivotal events had rattled them to their core. The conversion of Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, the Prophet's uncle and a fierce warrior, embraced Islam. His conversion gave the Muslim community a significant boost in both morale and protection. The conversion of Umar ibn al-Khattab, Umar, known for his strength and influence in Makkah, also embraced Islam, further bolstering the Muslim ranks and making the Quraysh more desperate to halt the spread of the new faith. The Prophet's refusal to compromise. Despite numerous offers, including wealth and power, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, steadfastly refused to compromise on his message. This unwavering stance convinced the Quraysh that more severe measures were necessary. The Pact of Protection. Sensing the growing threat to the Prophet's life, Banu Hashim and Banu Muttalib, including those who had not embraced Islam, united to protect him. This pact of protection meant that any harm to the Prophet would result in a blood feud, making the Quraysh hesitant to directly attack him. Faced with these challenges, the Quraysh saw the boycott as their best chance to break the Prophet's support base and crush the nascent Muslim community. The impact of this boycott was immediate and devastating. Banu Hashim and Banu Muttalib were forced to withdraw to a narrow valley on the outskirts of Makkah, known as the Shib of Abu Talib. There, they endured a 3-year-long siege, cut off from trade and basic necessities. The conditions in the valley were dire. Food became incredibly scarce, to the point where the besieged Muslims were forced to eat leaves and animal skins to survive. The cries of hungry children echoed through the valley, a constant reminder of the suffering inflicted upon them by their own kin. The Quraysh ensured that no food or provisions reached the valley, buying up all available supplies at inflated prices to keep them out of Muslim hands. Despite the overwhelming hardship, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, continued his mission with unwavering resolve. During the sacred months when hostilities traditionally ceased, he would venture out of the valley to publicly pray at the Kaaba and preach to visitors who came to Makkah for trade or pilgrimage. His courage and determination in the face of such adversity only strengthened the resolve of his followers. But the Prophet's uncle, Abu Talib, remained deeply concerned for his nephew's safety. Knowing that the Quraysh might resort to assassination, Abu Talib took extraordinary precautions. Each night, he would have the Prophet sleep in a different location, switching his place after others had fallen asleep, in a bid to outmaneuver any would-be assassins. Amidst this severe trial, a glimmer of hope emerged from an unexpected quarter. Some Makkans, motivated by kinship and a sense of justice, grew increasingly uncomfortable with the boycott's cruelty. Hisham bin Amr, who had secretly smuggled food to the besieged Muslims, began to rally others to his cause. He approached Zuhair bin Abi Umayyah, al-Mutim bin Adi, Abu al-Bukhtari, and Zam'a bin al-Aswad, men who were connected by blood to Banu Hashim, and convinced them to take a stand against the boycott. This small group of 5 decided to confront the Quraysh openly. Their moment came during a gathering at the Kaaba, where Zuhair, after completing the ritual circumambulation, stood before the assembled crowd and denounced the boycott. He rebuked the Quraysh for their callousness, pointing out the suffering of their own kin, while they themselves indulged in comfort. The crowd was stirred, and tensions quickly escalated. At this critical juncture, a remarkable incident occurred that would bring the boycott to an end. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had received a revelation that the parchment containing the boycott pact had been eaten away by ants, except for the portion that bore the words, "In the name of Allah." Abu Talib conveyed this to the Quraysh leaders, offering a challenge. If the parchment was found intact, they could take the Prophet. But if it had been consumed as foretold, the boycott must end. The Quraysh, confident in their pact, agreed to inspect the document. To their astonishment, when they unrolled the parchment, they found it as the Prophet had said, completely eaten away, except for the sacred words. The boycott was immediately lifted, and Banu Hashim and Banu Muttalib were allowed to return to their homes. Yet, despite witnessing this miraculous sign, the Quraysh's hearts remained hardened. They refused to accept the truth of the Prophet's mission, choosing instead to persist in their opposition. The Muslims, however, emerged from the ordeal stronger, their faith fortified by their endurance and by the signs of divine support they had witnessed. This episode in the history of Islam is not just a tale of survival. It is a testament to the power of faith, resilience, and the unwavering commitment to justice in the face of overwhelming adversity. The Quraysh's attempt to crush Islam only served to strengthen it, setting the stage for the Prophet's eventual triumph and the spread of Islam far beyond the borders of Makkah.